Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. This was a great podcast. I didn't, going into this, I was worried that is this gonna be boring? Like, I don't know. Sometimes you kind of have worries about it. I had like a little bit of an off day, and so I was worried about my energy. Brendan picked up the slack on it. I'm amazed. That guy, I don't think I know somebody with more passion and knowledge personally on musical theater and theater in general and just media. I mean, that guy we were going through things, and it's funny, I would say something and he would just know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's fun to have somebody in here that really cares about something like that. I've done some stuff with him in the past, and we've worked together, and I've always loved Brendan. I've known him for years, actually. I met him probably when I was I'd say 11, 12 years old. So it's good to have a guy like that in here who you get to work with, but you don't get to see all the time, especially now that I'm out of that community. But as always, we got the advertisement going today, so we gotta find that real fast. Here we go. Our first and only advertisement is from Dropout Corp. Dropout Corp is a marketing and promotion company specializing in merchandising and distribution methods. So that's fancy talk for we make really nice shirts and packages for people. We kind of show them off to others and get them, some radio time and even onto this podcast. As a small business owner, you're most likely looking for ways to save money constantly, and I know that you're probably not looking to spend more money. It's not going to be high up on your priority list. But Dropout Corp will be the first to tell you if you aren't right fit for your company. They won't do the work unless they know for a fact that it'll put money back into your pocket, because their mission is not for them to do business with companies, it's to create bonds with their business partners. What that means is it's really simple. They're not going to be taking your money and cheating you off because they want to keep you. They don't want you to swim off. They want to keep you working with them. So obviously I wouldn't do an advertisement unless I believe that the company was a good company to pair with. I've worked with them many times. Shirt Project, obviously. And they've done everything. They've done rapper merchandise, comedian sweatshirts. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to how you want your business to look and how you want to progress your company. If you're comfortable with where you are, that's absolutely fine. Feel free to ignore what I've just said. But if you want to progress from a company to a brand, they're the next step. Dropout Corp, from business to brand. I know I've jabbered on for a couple of minutes now. So without further ado, I give to you Brendan. Oh shit, what's his last name? Long. Brendan Long! Hey, how's it going, Brendan?
Hey, doing pretty good.
So, sorry, we were just talking about all the beautiful types of acting and all the shows that we've worked in. And I know that you've probably worked in some really good shows. I, on the other hand, have worked in a lot of really terrible shows. So before we get into all the stuff you're doing right now, I want to get your opinion on this. What defines a bad show from a good show?
In terms of people or in terms of the actual show?
The quality, the people, the overall production itself.
Well, I mean, if you have a bunch of people in a show who absolutely hate the show or don't want to be a part of the show, then obviously it's not going to be a well-done show. Everybody's going to want to leave as soon as possible. But sometimes you do a show and you're just we have an amazing cast of people, but the show itself is god-awful and horrible. You can take Kiss Me Kate, for example. That one's just a horrible Shakespeare musical that's never been good and never had a good production. That's why it totally failed. And then there's other shows like Be More Chill, which depends on who you have cast, but there's still some really rough points in that show. And it's just, you have to have a good balance of a well-written show, good people to actually do the show, and if it's a musical, definitely strong singers and a strong ensemble to take care of it.
Okay. I want to get your opinion on this because I've become very cynical about theater. But I know that you're more of an optimist than I am, at least. Mm-hmm. When you see a show and it's a triplet lead, so you have your lead guy, lead girl, and then another lead character that acts as a foil. If one of those characters is bad, does it ruin the entire show for you, or can you cope with it?
It depends on if I've seen the show or not. If I go and see, I don't know, Shrek has 3 leads. I
Yeah.
guess Princess Fiona, Shrek, and Donkey. If I go to that show and I see Donkey totally messing everything up and just like sounds horrible, then I'm not going to enjoy it because I know the show very well. And I've done the show before as an ensemble member and I've listened to the show. So I know how it's supposed to go. But if I went and I saw a brand new show, like I haven't seen Once on This Island, which just opened on Broadway. But if I went there and I saw a lead and I was just like, they kind of have a good voice, it's not going to take me out of it because I've never seen the show before.
Yeah. So if you've read it or if you've seen it, then that is the contributing factor to why it fails. Yeah, okay. That's nice. I for me, if I see like, it doesn't even have to be like a show I've seen before. If I know that that one character, that one actor is just downplaying the entire thing, I can tell. Can you tell when you watch a show, like if the rest of the cast knows?
Yes.
Like they know that one character?
By far.
Yeah.
There's definitely, I've seen musicals before, especially where people, I've never seen the show, but I'll see one of the leads be singing, and then all of a sudden, when I expect a note to go higher, it'll go much lower, and you just like look at all these people like awkwardly standing on stage, like, yeah, he can't do it. and then I'll listen to the actual soundtrack, or I'll see another show, and I'm just like, oh, that's how it's supposed to sound, not like that.
Yeah, I love you know, contrary to popular belief, I love theater. Mm-hmm. I love acting as a whole. I get very upset with people in their performance. I think it's one of those things where, like, if you're a football player and you're not fast, what the fuck? Like, that's your one job is to run with a ball. Be faster than everyone else. If you're an actor, be better actor than everyone else. It's amazing to me that there are people who are professionals who don't, you know, treat acting as a job. They look at it as like a little fun little thing I do.
It's like having like a very short and like slow linebacker. Like you can't do that.
He can't intercept the ball. He can't run fast enough to catch.
He just kind of
he's there.
He needs an 11th man.
He's just there. You know, it's Dan. He's just there. So tell me about this new show you're in. The show that you're in for Southridge.
So currently the production at Southridge High School is Big Fish the Musical. I play Will Bloom, who son of Edward Bloom, and the story focuses on the father and son, and Will just wants to find out the real versions of stories, events, of like real facts about his dad. But his dad, every time he tells him a story, ever since he was 6, I believe, just exaggerates everything. Like he has a very tall friend, so he makes him up to be this gigantic man, and he meets a circus guy who's kind of crazy, and he calls him a werewolf. Like there's all these exaggerated facts, and he also mentions that when he was younger, that a witch in a swamp showed him how he's gonna die, and that way he just can go through life knowing farewell that no matter what happens until he gets to that point, there's nothing that can stop him.
Okay.
A lot of information right there.
Yeah, just went through and rattled off. So that's the entire show, guys. If you want to pay $10, you can see it.
Oh, it's actually $8 now.
Is it $8?
For students. Ooh, yeah.
That's nice. No, is this, because I know this is what, your second or third show at Southridge? I know you do a lot more of
it's a third one.
A lot more of like
productions downtown. Yeah, professional.
Real actual acting. So what is that? What is the difference? What is the difference to you, at least?
One of the biggest differences that I found personally is the rehearsal schedule. I'm absolutely amazed by it because I've done many shows downtown Portland, and I've gone through the rehearsal schedule, and most of the time it's like, okay, 4 or 5 days a week from say 6:30 to 9:30, and that'll be it for professional production. And then we get to like a school show, and it's like you are here every single day. Sometimes you have to come in on Saturday, sometimes Sunday if everything's going horribly, and you're there for like 8 hours a day, or like right after school till we're finished with whatever our director wants to go through. And I've always thought that's insane, but it's also because there aren't as many professional people, and you need to work harder, and you need to train a bunch of people who haven't been doing this for a long time. And that's kind of the main difference, is the rehearsal schedule.
Okay. One of the things that, you know, I'm sure you've noticed is that like it almost seems like the development of the show is different. Like when you start off on a professional show, you're expected to know your lines.
Yes.
when you start off a high school show.
No.
You start off
Nowhere
the
near
table
close.
read and then go from there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is that like to you as somebody who like is so used to having people kind of just be good already, just like ready to go, and then it's just tweaking. It's not like a building thing; it's a tweak.
It's kind of interesting. I just finished doing a show before Big Fish. It was called Jasper and Deadland, and the very first rehearsal, like at the table read, everybody already had. They didn't have lines memorized because we had just gotten the script, and it's a newer show. But we all had our music 100% memorized, ready to go for the actual table read so that we could get through and get the full feeling of what the show is actually going to be like. And then we get to something like Big Fish, where the very first rehearsal, yes, a few of us knew our music. Not all of us knew our music. And sometimes harmonies sounded really, really awkward or really, really just flat or horrible. And it's very, very different, but it still works out.
That's good. I mean, that's at least you can cope with it. I know that some people have real issues with that. Going from theater to theater, even like I know that there's a difference between probably some of the theaters you worked in, just like the style and technique of the director, and then
definitely.
I know that we have a interesting directorial system here at Southridge. I'm not gonna get into it. But I know that this is still something that you enjoy, which is better than most people when they get finished with Southridge Theater. So what is propelling you?
Personally, ever since I want to say, I believe it was 8th grade when I did my first professional production, and I was finally able to like get in front of a crowd, and I was super nervous, and just all the excitement that I saw in everybody in the audience, and then all their constant support from not only the audience but like my parents and my friends has always been a great feeling. And personally, I love to jump into being a new character, being a new person, having these new ideas, this whole new story. It just makes me feel kind of more complete, and it's always felt that way even today.
Yeah, so acting to you is something that you truly enjoy.
Yes.
Is it the feeling when you're on stage? Is it the build up to it? Is it being around with so many people that you can really feel cohesive with? What is the reasoning behind that feeling?
I mean, sometimes you have cast members that you're not super, super fond of, and that can sometimes take you out of
I know that feeling.
Sometimes I can take you out of a moment. But personally, when I get into a show, I try to learn as much as I can about it, about the characters in the show, how they work together, and discovering every little detail, every little hidden thing that a musical director or one of the playwrights has thrown into the script is one of the most amazing things to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the cool things about musical theater, especially, is that it's very interpretive. You can take something and you can change it and tweak it and move it around until it's your own.
Yeah.
It's your own thing. I think that was one of the cool things that Deaf West did with Spring Awakening, is that they made it their own.
Yes.
I mean, that's not even the same show almost. If you really think about it, I don't even think it's really the same show. I think they're two very separate shows.
They are entirely separate shows. The difference being, obviously, we have everybody doing sign language on stage, but you also have deaf members of the cast who are singing and dancing, and they actually look off stage to either a techie or another cast member, or they also look at people on stage if they're hidden, and they wait for little cues, like they'll point their finger, and that's how they know that to start singing, because they can feel the vibrations of the music. They can continue along. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's something that's I think that's so cool that they're starting to incorporate other musical theater, especially in the United States, and I mean on the East Coast, obviously on Broadway. It's been this very succinct thing. It's been its own, like you look at the 40s and 50s, you have like
Anything Goes.
Yeah, Anything Goes, or oh my God, I'm Sinatra, Marlon Brando, Luck Be a Lady Tonight. Oh God, what is the name of that
Cole
show?
Porter.
Anything Cole Porter made.
Obviously, but
anything Cole Porter did, but that was the theme. That was
Yeah.
that kind of like big brass, kind of like invigorating show that made everybody kind of feel like, oh, campy and cheery, and it was like, but it's moved on from so many different things. From there, Guys and Dolls is the show I was trying to think But it's moved on to be a different thing entirely. It expresses other emotions now, sadness, like the show you're in, or kind of like a darker feel. If you look at Sweeney Todd's, what is it?
No, it's Sweeney Todd. Demon Barber Fleet Street.
Yes, things like that, and comedies. Comedies are different than they used to be. And I think that that's really cool that there's like this ever-evolving field that has grown off of. Even Broadway now isn't necessarily the only place to go for musical theater in the United States. You have Chicago has a big show out now. LA is starting to kind of develop a scene that you wouldn't normally think would be there. Yeah. And I think that that's really cool that it's starting to kind of spread throughout the United States.
Arizona is also getting there.
Is it really?
Yeah. I was like, why is Arizona getting it? And then I realized that Hamilton just like opened up there, and I was like, okay, that makes sense.
There'll be a big theater there in a couple of years now.
Yeah.
People are gonna see that show and they're gonna go, I want more of this. Yeah, but sorry, I'm nerding out. I don't normally get to talk about musical theater with people. But yeah, so what do you think? I want to know. Do you have any like idols in the in the industry, in the game? Who do you look up to?
I mean, Jeremy Jordan has always been like the number one guy that I've listened to. Because like originally back at my old school, we watched Newsies at one point, and I was
there.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Miss Glatz. But I fell in love with the movie, and then I heard the soundtrack, and I fell in love with the song Santa Fe. And Jeremy Jordan has absolutely killed that song every single time he sings it. And I realized that was the very first song, I want to say, that really got me into musical theater. But I could never sing it because I didn't have the vocal range at the time. I have it now. Yeah. And I'm so excited. Like, very recently, I've been able to hit all the notes in that. But I realized that I was listening to him singing a new show that's probably going to come out in a few years, but they did like a draft for it called In the Light. It's a Michael Mott show. And I kind of followed his vocal technique. He has this kind of pop fermento style of sound. And I realized that I've almost copied that exactly, so I'm trying to like back off from that. But Jeremy Jordan's definitely the top. And then moving on is like Jonathan Groff or Christian Borale. They're very big to me as well.
Yeah. Jonathan Groff is astounding. I love that guy. He's funny. He's really funny too, which is cool. I love him in Frozen, and obviously he's great in Hamilton. I think he's is he like the only white guy in that show?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so, because everybody else.
They still made it diverse though, because he's gay, right? Isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's
100%.
Still they meet the diversity quota on that one. Do you ever listen to Skylar Aston? No? Do you know of him? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I like him mainly because he's more of a comedian, but I think he's got a good voice. I can't do that high-pitched, like almost like that 80s glam kind of... who's that guy that's touring with Queen right now? Adam Levine? No, not Adam Levine.
Adam Levine.
It's not Adam Levine. It's...
Definitely has a high voice, but...
Yeah. Hey, Kyle?
Yo.
Can you search up who's touring with Queen right now?
Who's touring with Queen? Sure.
Yeah, he's like, he replaced Freddie Mercury, obviously. Rest in peace. Let's see here. Adam Lambert. Levine. Adam Lambert.
Close enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I obviously was much... I can sing tenor. I prefer to sing baritone or bass. I don't... It's not for me. A lot of the songs I would go with a tenor voice are a little too upbeat for me. I like kind of like a slower tempo.
Oh yeah, tenor songs are normally really, really fast.
Yeah. I always liked, that's why I'm more of a fan of like older musicals.
Oh yeah, because they're all very somber. Yeah. They're all ballads. Everything's a ballad.
Everything's a ballad, and if it can't be sung by an Italian guy who's drunk, then it's not truly from the 50s.
Golden age of Broadway right there.
Guys coming out on stage, their pants are half zipped. Oh, look, be a lady tonight. Is right. Sinatra going to be sobered up by the end of this? Maybe.
No. That's why he does it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Free booze. Where do you think that this is heading? Do you think that it's growing? Do you think that it's becoming its own market? Is it niching? Is it what do you think? With
like Broadway itself?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really good question. Especially in these last 2 years, a lot of things have changed, and everybody's trying to focus on like current events, which is it's really interesting because I know Dear Evan Hansen just came out not too long ago, and they're
It
really
was a good show. I didn't think I was gonna like that show, but that was a good show.
Yeah, no, it was
Heavy.
definitely a heavy
Yeah.
show. Talks about suicide, and it just like brings up some conversations that people feel uncomfortable talking about, but it also needs to be talked about. And then there's other shows like Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812 had Josh Groban. He was the lead in that show on Broadway, and this is gonna sound crazy. It's a electro pop Russian opera Broadway musical, and so you kind of have like two different directions that you're going here. One that
Yeah.
talks about actual events, and the other one being Natasha Pierre.
Very experimental
Yeah,
and
no, it was entirely experimental. They had audience members. When I went to New York this summer, I sat on stage for the actual production.
oh wow, that's been a growing thing lately. I don't know what inspired that, but I think that that's like the feeling of I think that the kind of started with Theater in the Round and then developed from there, where people started doing like more immersive shows.
They're bringing back Theater in the Round. I know.
I've seen that.
No,
It's-
I mentioned Once on This Island earlier. I've seen a couple clips, and it's entirely a Theater in the Round kind of performance. But every single, just going back to like what direction it's moving, every single show that I went to see on Broadway, even Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, that was an okay show. But when I went and I saw it, it's a very, very simplistic set. Every single show I saw had a very simplistic set, except for The Play That Goes Wrong. That's on Broadway currently, and that's a very extensive set. The entire thing collapses by the end of the show.
Yeah, isn't that's like a 30-minute long thing? Did you send me that one time?
I did. It was that was a long time ago. 439 steps, but it was like a 10-minute clip that I was showing you.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a 2.5 hour version of that.
Oh my god!
Those people like the video that I
did they build on it? Like, did they take the original?
They took
like,
the
kind of-
original, and so there's still original lines, still original like kind of plot, but they went so much more in depth, and they just added a bunch of things that went horribly wrong. And we got to talk to all the actors after the show, and they were just like, "Yeah, nothing went wrong that night," and I was astounded.
Wow,
they
really?
shattered glass on stage, which was really cool.
That's like a no-no.
Yeah,
That's like a big.
I was
yeah.
like, "Are you? Wow!" And it wasn't even like they shattered the glass and then it was Act 2. It was they shattered the glass halfway through Act 2.
Oh wow!
And so it was on stage, and they had to deal with it, and they had to get around it.
That's big. I know that there are certain there are certain like things you like contemporaneously try to avoid. One of them is water on stage. Glass is another, and oh god, I mean,
those are the main two.
those are the main two. It's just because they're so. I mean, it's just so damaging if you mess up. I know that when we did Seven Brides, I'm sure you've heard the story about the ice packs.
Yes, I was there the night you didn't come out.
Yeah, and that was hard. That was really hard. It was funny though because they had to mop that shit up after every blackout. They would come out there with mops and mop it up, and that was something that we just had to incorporate into the show. And it almost became a joke throughout the thing. I was so high. That was ridiculous. But I think with like the testing of new boundaries and moving into this kind of more like not experimental, but almost like etching out a new path. You know what I'm saying? Like taking something that would be experimental a couple of years ago and kind of making it normative and moving through that. I think that's great. I think that the more that the art form grows and kind of develops from what it was, the better. Because I mean, if you think about it, the Greco-Roman style of acting, I mean, you had very succinct rules to what you had to do. It was there was a stage, and at least 3 guys had to die. One of them had to be dismembered, and somebody had to like have sex with their mom.
And then it also had to talk about something political at the time.
Which now makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah,
absolutely zero sense now. But back then it was a real hoot. Like everyone was like, "Oh, did you hear what he said about Gaius? Ah, Jesus."
Hey, we know that guy. Like,
yeah, exactly. But like that's I wonder now though, because I almost feel like, do you feel like literature as a whole, drama and literature as a whole, has stopped being so like you don't create a classic anymore? You know what I'm saying? Like nothing is like stabilized for the next 50 years. Like nobody's gonna remember in 50 years. Like something like Dear Evan Hansen, which is a great show, it was or Hamilton even. Hamilton was a moment. But will Hamilton be here in 50 years? Will people still be going back and reading through it and performing it and going, look at how this changed this or what this did? Like, do you feel what I'm saying?
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Dear Evan Hansen is definitely, it's definitely going to end at some point because I was lucky enough to see that show also when I went to New York. I got to see 9 different shows.
That's great.
Yeah, but when I was watching it, there's so many things in that show that are our time right now. So it was all about Facebook and tweeting and like Facebook.
Yeah,
no,
Facebook's
sorry,
dead.
Yeah, right. But they were all just like, subscribe, like share this story about this kid, and like we all love this guy and whatnot, and like emailing back and forth. And who knows if that's gonna be a thing in 50 years? It probably, they'll either have to update the show constantly based on what's coming out. Like I know when I saw it, I don't think I saw like Instagram. Instagram's really, really big, especially with like how old the characters were technically supposed to be, like high schoolers.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a single thing for Instagram.
Well, that's so hard. I mean, you have to think about it. To update a show that consistently and to really understand the movement of like culture as a whole is very different. Even from, I have family that live out in Detroit, and you know how we all have Instagrams, right?
Yeah.
And then there's your Instagram, and then there's your slutty pic Instagram. There's there's your other
the
Instagram.
Finsta.
Right. You know what they call it?
What?
A Finsta.
I've heard about that.
It's a fake Insta. That's what they call it. And that's between us and Michigan. Imagine what the difference is between Michigan and Baton Rouge or or Miami or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And so to nail it down to say one cultural thing,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
is hard to say. Like, all the kids do this, but they don't know. Like, it's hard to get a kind of a flavor test for everybody. And so maybe, I don't know, but maybe in New York, Facebook's still a thing.
I don't know. The show, I mean, Ben Platt played the starring role. He's not doing it anymore as Evan Hansen. But that show was being workshopped for 8 years. And then after like the third year...
That's impressive.
Yeah, I know.
That they were able to keep the feeling of it
Bench
alive
Pass with
for
Justin Paul,
8 years.
Yeah, they were like writing it, and they're just like, we need this guy. And they're like, well, we have this awkward dude, and he just did Pitch Perfect. The magician is Ben Platt. Yeah. And they're just like, we have him, and he can sing pretty well. So they brought him in, and then they started writing the character around him for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they finally got it. So back then, oh yeah, Facebook was huge.
Yeah.
It was like a new thing.
Everybody's using this Facebook thing. I heard they're going to make a movie about it. They're going to make a movie about Facebook?
Are they actually?
They did.
Wait, really?
Did you not know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. It's called The Social Network. Huh. With Jesse Eisenberg. It came out in like 2012.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
see, that's how old it is. You don't remember it.
No, now we have the Emoji Movie. Oh and God. Skip past that.
Speaking on classic literature. Yeah. Oh, God.
You know what kind of sucks, though?
What?
There's an Emoji musical coming out. And this was in the development before the Emoji Movie was even announced. And now they're having trouble, like, even promoting their thing because of how bad the Emoji Movie was.
That's pandering to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
The music's not good either, so it's just like an overall just
a sigh. I wonder, because I mean everybody knows that there's hacky people in every industry. There's always going to be hacky actors. There's always going to be hacky comedians. But when you're a hacky playwright, you gotta know you just put down shit. Because nobody comes to see your show. Nobody wants to produce it. And when it gets talked about, it's always like shit on hard.
The only way that it'd be possible for that show to be produced and then stay running is if they got somebody that everybody knows
Yeah.
to like take over, which
Yeah.
is kind of what they did for Natasha Pierre. Josh Groban came in, and it's a weird show. It's definitely one of the
Well,
most
Josh Groban's a weird guy.
yeah, but he stepped in, and everyone was like, "Yay, Josh Groban!" And then he left, and everyone was like, "Yeah, the show's still running."
A show, yeah. What do you think about people bringing back the musical to television? Because that was a big thing in the early stages of television, and it's starting to make a comeback because of Disney owning fucking everything.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what's your opinion on that? What do you think?
Okay, so there's some good and bad.
Okay.
I enjoy seeing like musicals brought to life. However, when we see something like Grease Live was amazing. I think it was I believe it was Aaron Tveit who stepped in for the leading male role. He did a great job, and he fit the character true. But then there were like some things, because it's live.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong every single
Yeah.
time, and one of the characters is supposed to throw a pie towards the end of the show and hit one of the teachers in the face. Totally missed. And the guy that was supposed to get hit just kind of stood there, and he was like, "Good try." And then it moved on to the next scene, and I was like, "Oh,
cringy."
My favorite moment very recently, A Christmas Story just got turned into a musical, and it was like, I mean, it's been a musical, but it was like they did a live version of it.
Yeah.
And that was also same writers for Dear Evan Hansen and The Greatest Showman, Ben Pasek, Justin Paul.
Yeah.
They added a few songs, and it was overall it was fairly good. It didn't get very many good reviews whatsoever, but there was one point where, if you know A Christmas Story, the dogs run in and they like totally ruin everything. They take like the tablecloth off of the table. They take the turkey. It got to that point, and they had 3 dogs, and
dogs didn't come out, did they?
no, all 3 dogs came out. And one of them jumped up onto the table, grabbed the turkey, left. The other 2 just followed it around. So we still have this beautiful table all set up. And the guy playing the father just grabs the tablecloth and yanks it off. And all the stuff goes flying. And he's like, no, the dogs ruined it. And I just sat there laughing at how stupid and obviously wrong that went.
Yeah.
And he had to go with it because it's
Yeah.
a live show. And my problem is, like, now it's immortalized. Like, they're selling DVDs of it. But then you take something like Shrek the Musical or Newsies the Musical. They just did an actual recording of that where they went through and they performed it like 8 times and spliced together the best bits. That's how you need to do it.
Yeah.
If you do it live, something will go wrong.
Yeah, obviously, and that's been the case for a lot of things for years. Like if you look at, I know stand-up comedy, when you do a special, you have 4 or 5, sets that you take, and Chris Rock actually immortalized it by, it was so funny because he spliced together a special, right? Mm-hmm. But he wore a different outfit every night. So in the show, he'll change outfits 40 times because he's just going through, like, it's every different set and it's him wearing different clothes. So like he'll be like halfway through, but he'll tell the joke and then it'll switch angles and it'll be a different outfit and then he'll tell the punchline, and it's like this whole thing. It's so funny.
I've never thought about it like that. Like, I just watched a couple John Mulaney specials.
Yeah.
And he definitely had the same outfit every single night. And that's not I figured that it was just, like, I knew that he did it multiple times and that they probably spliced it all together.
Yeah.
But it just didn't occur to me because he had the same outfit over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I know they have to splice it together because there's always a heckler.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
No matter
absolutely.
what.
In a different part, hopefully, every time. But
Yeah.
yeah, there always is. But yeah, when you take and you record musical theater and then you're like, oh, well, we're going to put it on TV. Don't use one recording. Take multiple, put it together, and that's how you should do it. But I think that it also speaks to something where, like I love Christopher Walken. Classically trained stage actor, not a musical theater person at all. And then they put him as Captain Hook. And it's like,
Can we talk about Russell Crowe taking over as Javert in Les Mis, the movie, and totally ruining the entire thing?
I didn't know that. I haven't seen Les Mis before. It's probably one of the ones that everyone's seen that I haven't.
He took there's one of the main songs that Javert sings. It's called Stars. And he took that song and he dropped it down a couple steps, and it was in this very weird key that's completely different from what everybody originally knew. And there's one moment where his line is, it's time for you to get your yellow ticket of leave. And in the movie, they recorded it. What was special about Les Mis was it was the first case, or a really big documented case, where they actually sang while they did the movie, while they were recording it. They sang the songs every single time. He says, follow to the left of your itinerary. Itinerary is not a word. I don't know if he's trying to say itinerary, but either way, it was incorrect. And Hugh Jackman played the lead.
Yeah.
And he's just like, it was kind of obvious. He didn't know what to do. And he was just like, I stole a loaf of bread. And then he just continued on. And I was like, why is that the take? I guarantee you they did it like 30 times.
No, what I would love to imagine is Russell Crowe fucking it up every single time.
And Hugh Jackman's just like,
not having the balls to say something. He's just sitting there and he's like,
fine, we'll keep going.
just keep going. I don't care. Let's just keep going. I don't care. Yeah, it's so funny.
The biggest problem with that movie was that scene. Like, I went and I saw it in theaters and I was like, that's incorrect. that is incorrect. That is wrong.
You know what's funny is I've done that for Star Wars movies because they'll say something, I'll be like, that's not fucking right. Yeah. And you're like, how did that get past? Like, how did that get past like all the people? All the people it has to get past. How did it get past every single one of them and no one said anything? Like, no one's like, hey. Hey
was
guys.
Not a single person who knew the music
yeah,
or the original script was sitting there. They're just like, well, I mean, Russell Crowe did it again, so I guess it's right. Maybe I missed something.
Is this a typo? Did we type this? There's got to be like one guy with a highlighter who's just sitting there and he's like, yep.
We'll let this one slide.
How many times has he done this? He's done this every single night. Every
night.
Oh,
okay, never mind. It's fine.
It's at this point. Part of it. It's a thing now.
It's probably like the last scene that they had to record, and they're just like, "We're done. Get it, cut, print it."
The first time he like sneezed midway through song. The second time his shoe was untied, and tripped. Just everything's going wrong.
Third time he forgot his hat, and just
he
wore like a nightgown. That was the other problem I had. He's like, if you know Les Mis and you know the story, like there's all these slaves and they're all trying to work and like bring these ships into the docks, and they're pulling these ropes, and Javert is one of the guards, and he's standing there. He's a captain, and he's watching over everybody, and he has his like nice uniform. In the movie, the first shot I believe you see of him, he's got like his full uniform, and then he has like the stereotypical like. The best way I can describe it is if you've read the book The Night Before Christmas.
The nightgown cap.
The nightgown cap is what he was wearing with his uniform. And I was like, that is an interesting choice.
He just rolled out of bed. He took a quick cat nap.
Yeah.
And he slept through his alarm. And so he just ran out of the house. You
Just
gotta watch those slaves. What are you gonna do?
I imagine he showed up late that day.
Russell, we gotta do your hair. He's like, just give me a cap or something. I don't care.
Does this fit the time period? No. Okay, let's go.
Not at all. Not at all.
The color is different from the rest of my uniform? Yeah, okay. That works.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't care. Yeah. That's funny. Because everything now, I feel like people have a much like more fuck it attitude towards just about everything when it comes to like acting in general, but like like media. Like,
yeah,
everybody's kind of got like fuck it. Like I mean, like 50 years ago, you wouldn't have heard Ella Fitzgerald sing "The Way I Are." Like you would hear her say like "The Way I Am."
Yeah.
But now you've got a song that's like that's a big song, "The Way I Are." Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if everyone remembers it, but it's like Timbaland and Nelly Furtado. It's like it's a good song. Yeah. It's a good song. It was a big song.
But it's like nowadays with music and I guess media in general, no matter what you do, no matter what you throw out there, everyone's like, it was a stylistic choice. I enjoy that. I'm a fan.
You're a fake fan. You're correcting his grammar.
Yeah, he meant to do that.
I get those goosebumps every night. No, I am getting those goosebumps every single night.
Okay, let me tell you. Stylistic choices, sometimes they work. Like music-wise, stylistic scooping, like in music, is okay sometimes.
Sometimes.
But then
sometimes.
Then you make a stylistic choice, like Fergie with the national anthem.
Yeah,
it was
bad. It was bad. I remember I didn't watch the game. I remember tuning in the next day, like to Twitter, and everyone was freaking out.
Yeah.
Freaking out. And I'm like,
she's like, it was a stylistic choice. I wanted to try something new.
yeah, don't. It's a classic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already good. They hammered that one out. They worked on it. It's how it should be.
The fact that they worked on it too, and it was just like, I think it was like one trombone or trumpet player and like a guy with a huge drum, just like.
Yeah, I was like.
The slowest tempo, and it's the most god-awful national anthem performance I've ever heard.
I might have one to beat it.
Oh,
have you ever seen Carl Lewis do the national anthem?
I have not.
Kyle. Can you search up Carl Lewis national anthem, please?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it is phenomenal.
That C.
But just
Yeah,
like,
it's C.
if you were listening to the national anthem and you know, if you're in a choir, you know that the song starts. Oh, that looks stupid already. But you start on a
just
do,
play it.
and then you end on a do.
Yeah.
And it ended with Fergie on a so, and it was just like a fifth up, and it was just so bad. Is there audio for this?
There should be audio. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, if you press down in that corner right there, yeah, it's muted. Sorry. Just click.
I'm excited, but also really worried about this.
Oh, is it not going to play through here? Do me a favor, Kyle. Pause this real fast. Pause the video, and down by your feet, there's a speaker. If you press or if you hold the power button until she starts talking to you. There you go.
There you go.
Now press play. Turn it up if you can.
Yeah.
Oh, that little piano. Oh my god. Oh. Oh.
That's pretty painful. I'll say that.
Have you seen this before?
I have not seen this before. That was.
Oh, he's laughing at him. Oh no.
Ugh.
No, it's so great. So, it's so.
It's like
funny.
Jimmy Kimmel at the end of
Yeah.
Fergie's. He's just like, yep.
Draymond Green literally lost his shit. I don't know if
yeah.
you've seen the video where he's like
like-
holding it in, and then he just no, I can't do it anymore. But
Cameron got him right at the perfect time.
yeah, there's some pretty bad ones. There's Carl Lewis. There's R. Kelly has a.
I know that one.
Yeah, the R. Kelly one's really atrocious. There's Christina Aguilera where she forgets the lyrics. Carl Lewis also forgot the lyrics.
And then skipped to the end of the song. It's like a 3-minute song, and he started with
Oh,
say, and the Rockets right there. I'll make up for it.
My bad. I'll make up
Land of the free. He lost his voice too. Like everything that could have gone wrong, like went wrong there, and all the audience was like, "Oh,
Oh God.
Oh,
Well, the
no.
best part is Carl Lewis isn't a singer. Like he's not a singer. He's an athlete. Like you wouldn't expect him to do it, and then he. But there's some pretty bad ones. Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr has another really bad one. Have you heard hers?
no,
Oh, she screams it.
oh no."
She doesn't even sing it. She screams it. She starts off. So I've heard her talk about it. So apparently, when you start off the national anthem, never start too high.
Obviously.
Because then you get it's
Then it goes
exponentially
way
high,
up there. Yeah.
And so she started like at least an octave too high. And she was like, well, I'm not going to be able to finish this. So she just screams it. Just screams it.
That's like Idina Menzel when she tried to sing "Let It Go" for the New Year party or whatever.
remember that.
And she just like let the storm rage, yeah, and it just voice cracked so hard and just like
everyone was like,
oh my
Elsa.
god, yeah, no, but like everyone was like after it happened. She's like, the cold never bothered me anyway. And everyone went ballistic. They were like, yay! She's done!
Yes. No,
But screaming's not singing.
No. Never do a song that it's like there are times like obviously there's heavy metal where like heavy metal has screaming. Like that's a part of it. But if it's not heavy metal, never scream in a song. Ever. Like never even like not even like the like not that. I mean like
Yeah,
when
no
you're like
vocal-
so
vocal
high
rise.
that you can't take it anymore, and you're like, and you're just like, and you just like clear your throat.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's
you just gotta know where your voice is. You can't just like obviously I'm not gonna go sing a soprano song.
exactly right. Like you
Like-
gotta stay in your lane. You gotta stay in your
Yeah,
lane.
like I mean, I have a very, very high falsetto voice, but even with that, it's not like I'm gonna do a full performance with it because,
No,
it doesn't sound the best. And
Yeah.
like if I tried to belt out those notes, it's gonna crack and it's gonna sound awful, and I'll be really embarrassed, and everybody will be like, "Yeah, he's not good."
What is it with falsetto singing? Why is that coming back?
I don't know.
like
Because belting sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
But then you get to like I know one of the musicals that just opened. It was like an open and shut musical on Broadway Bandstand. It had some really good people in it, like Corey Cott and Laura Osnes. They are very big in the Broadway community and everybody loves them, but it's just kind of like no one cares enough about them to go see the show. And
Yeah.
the show is okay. It won a Tony for Best Dance, and that's like what really, really pushed the show.
Yeah.
But there's a song in there called Donnie DaVinci, and he belts out these notes, and then he flips up to his falsetto, and that kind of took me out of it. And it's only because the song goes, "They say cream rises, but what if nobody tastes it?" And so he has the falsetto flip, and I was like, okay, yeah, I mean that's okay. Later in the song, he just belts out those same falsetto notes. And he could have been doing that the entire time, and he just doesn't.
I've always looked at falsetto as almost like a crutch. Like if you can't hit the note, but you're still like trying to like, it's almost like when you're showing someone how to do it. Like you're sitting there and you're like, what's the note? And you're like, na 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 na, and then you go,
Yeah, yeah.
and you show them like where it is. It's not like something that you use. It's like something
Right.
that you use to show people where it is, but it's not something that you would use.
Most of the time, it's used either for a really, really sad moment, like Dear Evan Hansen used it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just for Evan, and like some of the softer moments, like after the end of Words Fail, he uses his falsetto, and that's just because he's crying on stage, and so he has to like use that, otherwise his voice is going to crack and it's not going to sound good. But then you get to like other shows, and using falsetto just shows that you can't do it.
You can't hit it.
Most of the time, though, with falsetto nowadays, they use it as a joke.
Yeah.
Like a guy will use it as a joke.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
I've seen it used to like tease another singer. Or like some guy I was watching like it was a sing off. Like two singers, and when the one guy he hits this belt, and then another guy comes back and he like goes higher, but he uses falsetto, and the guy does the exact same thing to him, hits that exact same note in his falsetto, and then goes up again.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like fuck you. You couldn't hit it. Like I'm better.
Don't
It's
try
like,
to one up
yeah,
me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't get that. Like I feel like know your range
Yes.
and then stay in it. Like I know I'm not gonna hit the bottom note of like the piano. Like I'm not gonna get there.
Definitely
and
not.
I can sing pretty low, but I know that if I do it, it's not gonna sound good. Like I have a low range, but if I go to the very lowest part of my range, it's not gonna sound good. If I go to the highest part of my range,
It's not gonna sound good.
Right. Know where your sweet spot is. It's usually about 2 octaves, where you can sing that really well. And then, you can hit a couple notes down here. Yeah, you can hit a couple notes up here.
And you're just like, oh wow, that's amazing. But everyone kind of has like this same set, I want to say.
Yeah.
Or at least the majority of
And the people who don't are the ones that are the best at it. They're the
Yes.
most. Those are the musical theater people on Broadway. Those are the ones that have the bigger like sweet spots. You know,
not to mention they get to work it all the time because they have 8 shows a week, and they just get to keep pushing it and pushing it. Whereas like other people, like obviously for school shows and high school shows, you're not doing this 8 times a week. Like I know Big Fish, we have 7 shows in total, and the difference is like we don't have to like use our vocal cords as much and like use it over and over and over again like 8 times a week.
Yeah.
So obviously things are going to be a little bit different.
No, obviously, and one of the things that I notice about anything, whether it's singing or acting or whatever, if you're not practicing every day for at least 2 hours, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You're going to fall out of your groove. You're not going to be able to, not even maintain, but grow. Like you're not going to be able to grow as a singer, as an actor, as whatever it is. You need to be doing what you're trying to grow with more than everything else that you do.
Absolutely.
If you can put a focus on something, that's the thing that you should be, growing with. Singing especially. People go, oh, I can sing. I can sing.
Yes.
I can sing. When was the last time you sang? In the shower.
Yeah.
Maybe like a couple of days ago, I sang out a pretty sweet rendition of Happy Birthday.
I was in my car the other day.
Yeah, but if you're not sitting there next to a piano, plucking it out, feeling through new music, reading lines. I have a mirror room. And when I was acting, I would sit there with a script and I would read the script, look at the emotion on my face, build a different emotion, the same line 3 times, 3 different emotions.
That's really smart.
Yeah, because you can
wow, I'm going to start using that. That's actually really cool.
Right? A line can be given so many different ways, and if you can feel every emotion in it, you can change it. You can kind of give a different feel in every show, and you can really drive home the one emotion you really want.
That's the problem with some shows, especially school shows, because you have to make a show new to you every single time. You have to find something new. Otherwise, if you settle into the same emotion over and over and over again, and you think if you're trying to be upset or if you're trying to be angry and there's something in your life that makes you upset or makes you angry, you can't use that every single time, because then you're just going to go numb to it. Even Wicked. When Wicked first came out, Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel, they both found something. There's a song called Loathing, and every single time they sang it, they found something new that they disliked about the other person, and they went off of that every single night. Some brand new thing. It could have been she has a ruffle in her dress, and I don't like that ruffle. And then the next night be there's a ruffle 3 ruffles lower than that. That's even worse. Or something, or your face is green because she's a witch. Basic things, but it totally changes everything. And if you just settle in on one thought the entire run of a show, you're going to get bored. And it's not going to be a good show anymore. You're just running through the motions, and then people will see that and stop coming to the show.
Yeah. Art without inspiration is only representation.
Yeah.
It's the best quote I've ever heard on it. And I think that if you're not putting your full self into something and not caring about it 110%, I hate that 110%, sorry. But
I get what you're saying.
If you're not giving your full effort into it, then you can't really be proud of what you've done. That's such a big thing for me, is that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go
110%.
I'm going to give my maximum effort,
my all
into it, because it's one of those things where if I as a person can't be proud of what I've done, that I don't want other people to see it.
Exactly.
And I've been in shows where you feel trapped, where you feel like you're not able to really show the potential of not only the show, but yourself, and you're not proud of it. And I've literally told people, there have been shows I've been in where I've told people, don't come. And I'm not saying that I'm not
I'm kind of nervous and I'm not sure if I'm going to.
Legitimately, don't like this show. I don't like myself in it. Please don't come. I don't want to ruin the image of what I've done. It's almost like you've set the bar, and if you're not hitting the bar and getting past it every single time, then I don't want you to see it, because then it lowers the image of me. It doesn't, and then it takes you back down to where we were.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I definitely know that feeling of trying to do something, but if it's going to be horrible, you don't want to put it on stage. This year, I was planning to direct the large group musical, and that was a set thing I wanted to do ever since we went to state with Wild Party last year. And then we started doing it. I got it all cast, and I had an amazing cast of people. There was nothing wrong with the cast whatsoever. Everybody got along. Everybody was having a great time, as far as I could tell. And I was enjoying it, and we were working through it. But because of the Big Fish schedule and everything going on and people having jobs, we just couldn't find the time to do it. And so we had this big discussion, do we want to work our asses off until we get to the regional showcase, or do we just want to end it right here, right now, and not risk the chance of putting something on that's going to be bad and everything's just going to go wrong. Like, we want a very good thing, and we don't know if we have enough time to do it. So we had to end that large group before we got to do a performance of it, which was a great choice, I think.
You know, and that's great that you were able to make that choice. I think that that's very hard for people to take into consideration when they're in the moment, when they're in the actual act of doing that, and to look at what you're putting out there and say, not only this isn't good enough, but is this the representation I want of not just me, but everyone around me?
Yeah.
Like, is this what I want people to see when they think of our production, you know, our studio, our theater, our whatever, and realize that there's a bigger picture to things.
Yeah.
And that is difficult. I don't think I've ever been in a show where people were willing to make that call. And I think there definitely should have been times where we had. I made it very vocal that was my opinion. But what are you going to do at the end of the day? You know, other people, especially in this community, the reason they're out there is to be seen. And so a lot of times saying, you know what, I'm cool with taking a backseat on this one, or even, you know, I'm cool with us not doing it, is hard.
Yeah, definitely. We just had to have like a big chat because I was like, I knew that some people in the cast were worried about it just because we were running out of time, and we did start a little bit later because I had my own show going on, so I had to focus specifically on that.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And
You're
then,
a busy guy.
yeah, we just had a discussion. We were just like, I was like, thank you everybody for being a part of this. At this point, I don't think we have enough time to get this to where I want it to be, to where it will be like this amazing showstopper.
Yeah. And did people take over after that, or did anybody? What came with that? Was there?
It was entirely disbanded, and there's talk of there being a large group musical next year, but this year we don't have a large group that actually.
I think it's good to take a break.
Yeah,
I think it's good to take a break.
We have a small group going this year.
That's good.
Yeah,
I think
I'm a part of that one.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, I think was the last time we took a small group, wasn't it?
I mean, I wasn't here 2 years ago, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was 2 years ago. It was the Jewish one. Yeah.
4 Jews from Falsetto?
No.
Because that was a small group that happened this year. Very funny song.
Jewish boy, Christian girl. They're playing like a geography game. Then all his Jewish relatives come back from the dead, and they start singing at him about how he's a disgrace.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I cannot remember the name of the show.
I want to say the 25th annual Putnam Spelling Bee, but like I've never seen that show, and I don't know enough about the music to call
Kyle,
that.
can you Google musical about Jews?
That's a good start.
I can try.
There's not going to be many, so I think we'll
Do you
wait.
remember State last year? The all-state show where they're like it started with first they came for the Jews, and then it just went worse from
Not
there.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay.
Tradition.
Let's see here.
More Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, because that's a very, very Jewish
What
show.
was the name of that song? I can't. Oy vey, I think might have been the name of the song. Or
Oy
something.
vey.
Are we thinking of Little Shop of Horrors? Mushnik and Son.
How
Oy
recent was
vey.
it?
What was the name of that song? There was like a part where like there was a rap. There was a rap in it.
Oh yeah, no, we're getting farther and farther from anything I've ever heard.
Still Fiddler on the Roof.
Oy vey. Good search, Kyle.
Hey, musical?
I can't remember.
Oy vey musical.
Yeah,
That's a
type
good idea.
Musical song, maybe.
Oy vey music video. I'm kind of curious what that is. Off Broadway.
More Fiddler on the Roof. I don't know.
It's just all Fiddler.
Let me see here. I'm gonna look it up. So I know this is the worst is when we're just sitting here in silence talking about Jewish musicals.
That we don't know what they are.
Ah,
See, the problem is I know a lot of shows, so it's kind of rare when when someone talks about one and I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's.
No.
I wish I could remember the way it went too. I'm sure that would probably.
That would spark it if you had like one line.
The Girl for You.
Girl
The
for You.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah, it's about Jews,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, Girl for You. This isn't
Jewish.
the girl for you. Da 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 da. This isn't a girl for you. Da, da,
What did
da.
you search to find that?
Oy vey musical Jews.
Oh,
That was the exact
nice.
song there. A lot of now that I think about it, there's actually a lot more they're all written by Jews. I should say that. A lot of musicals.
I mean, if you listen to Spam a lot, there's you won't succeed on Broadway if you don't have any Jews. There's that song because you need
at least a couple Jews in every industry. I'm trying to find one right now for this podcast.
Oh my God.
What? I just got to have them like sit in the corner or something. That's how we're gonna get successful.
Jesus.
Yeah, but
Won quite a few
the
awards.
Laurence Olivier Award.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Good segue.
yeah. You know what? I want to know your opinion on this because
Okay.
the Oscars just happened. What do you think about awards and award shows and awards and acting?
Like the Tony Awards and
Just in general, awards in general, like Emmys and Golden Globes and
Here's my one
Oscars.
problem.
Okay.
It's just when somebody does a show and then or does a show or they do a movie and someone wins an award and then everybody else is just like, this other person should have won this award, and it blows up
Yeah.
on Twitter. And I know I've seen a lot of posts that are just like, especially BuzzFeed. Oh, BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed and
they did
Huffington
they did a
Post.
thing. Yeah, they did a thing where just like, whereas I can't remember who won, but it was just like 5 females who should have won this award.
Yes,
Instead,
it was-
and like nothing against that.
Was
But
it
also
Matthew McConaughey. I think it.
it might have been. I think it was like 5 female directors or something like
Oh,
that, and they were
yeah.
just like, "How dare you?" And I was like, "It's an award show. It's not like he got up there and he was just like, yep."
White males are the superior race.
No, it's not like he got up there and he was just like, "I knew for a fact that everyone would vote for me because I'm a male."
I'm
like,
a
and then
white guy.
BuzzFeed is like, "We know for a fact that they all voted for him because he's a male." And that's my one problem, especially with recent award shows and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
But like, I think awards are great because then you have something to brag about. But like, if you look at it, especially with Broadway shows, if any little part of a show wins a Tony Award, then they splash their
Tony Award winning.
a Tony Award winning show.
And it's
Especially-
like the key grip is the one
Exactly.
that won it. Yeah.
And then like Groundhog Day, I don't think won a single Tony Award.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that when I was walking around New York, I saw award-winning, like best musical, and I looked it up, and it was like the Olivier Award or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Some other thing gave them best musical.
Yeah.
And then they can say best musical without
yeah. Without
problem.
citing it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really funny because I know the Play That Goes Wrong.
Yeah.
They were just like, we won all these awards. Like we won the Olivier award for like best actor and best lighting, and they're just like, and we won the Tony Award for best set. And then they like splash Tony Award winning, and I just love that.
Yeah.
Because they know that show's so funny because they just goof off for every little thing that they do. They came out before the show was supposed to start. They had like the quote unquote techies come out and be like, you guys are in the danger zone, so this chandelier will probably fall at one point, so just know that if you're sitting here, that could happen. Just all sorts of stupid stuff. They came out halfway through the show during the intermission.
Yeah.
Like I went to get a poster card, like a big poster that I could frame and put on my wall, and they all, like 3 of the main actors came out in like tourist clothes or whatever, and they're still full makeup, they're fake mustaches, and they're just like, wow, this is an amazing show, wouldn't you say? Like talking to people, and they're just like, that's why they won best Tony, or like the Tony Award for this show, and they won't go into like what they actually won. And then even on the front of the theater that they're at, they have these gigantic stars.
Yeah.
Just like the star shape. And there's a quote that's like, we have the biggest stars on Broadway. And that's what, like, they used quotes like that. And they have all these like fake quotes from random people.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really, really funny. It's really clever. And not to mention, J.J. Abrams produced the show.
Really?
Yeah, they did a video on it, and they're just like, Yes, we're going to Broadway. We got J.J. Abrams. We have no idea how we got him, but we got him, and
Has
now
he
we're
ever
going.
done theater before? I don't think I've heard of him doing something.
I
like
don't
that.
know. He's not like in it. He produced it.
Yeah.
And I have no idea, like if he saw the show when it was done in London, it was like, this is going to be a good Broadway show. Like, this will do great. But it happened, and I just think that's so crazy and random that something like that actually happened.
Yeah. That's cool. Your thing when you said like it's something to brag about. Like that to me.
Oh,
that's,
yeah, the awards.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know. I take issue with like the Emmys and like the Golden Globes and the acting Oscars. I really enjoy the technical Oscars and I really enjoy the Tonys. And the reason why is I think that the two hardest things to do are the technical aspects of the Oscars. That's hard work.
Yeah.
That's hard work, dedication, and image. And like having the idea, like to win something like best sound mixing. That's not
a big deal.
Easy thing to do. That's not an easy thing to do. Meryl Streep getting up and winning 15 because she's fucking Meryl Streep and no one else know who the other actresses are. That's ridiculous to me. I hate her. I hate people like her. I hate her and the Tom Hanks of the world that just like are in a movie and then people are like, throw an Oscar at them.
That's what happened with Into the Woods. When that came out, she played the witch in Into the Woods, and everyone like, okay, she did fine. But then everyone was like, bravo! Yes! Meryl Streep!
I hated that. I hated that so
If you go
much.
to the I think it's the National History Museum in New York, there's like this one random exhibit about like evolution, and there's like a video you watch, and I was watching it, I didn't even think about like who was voicing it. At the end of the video, it just goes, voiced by Meryl Streep, and I was like, why?
Why is that
Why
there?
did you do this?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And also, how did they get you to do this? Like,
Yeah, come on.
Like
Who'd you know?
you've won
Who'd you
enough
know?
awards. Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, best voiceover work, Oscar. No,
He's like, trust me, I'm cousins with her. I can get her in here, and she can talk about the
Some
evolution
nerdy
of a lizard.
some nerdy professor is just like, I got this, guys. I promise you, we're gonna get her in here. I know her personally. She's a cousin of mine, 2 times removed, and we're gonna get her in here. She's gonna talk about this rare speckled lizard back. And they're like,
She like shows up, and they're all just like 3 of them are just like, oh my god, it's Meryl Streep.
is that?
And then the rest of them are just like, I don't know who that is.
Is that fucking Meryl Streep?
Why is she here?
But like that's, to me, like I think the technical Oscars something worth talking about. And nobody watches those. Nobody watches those. And I think that's something that should be highlighted is the hard work of those people.
Well, sometimes it's also like I know some award shows. This is another problem I have with award shows. I think everybody that they announce for the award should have their spotlights, but then you'll be watching it and it'll be a commercial break, and then you'll come back and it's like, over the break, this person won this, and they'll give them like a 10-second cut of their speech and then move on to the next person that they gave an award. And it is something, I know like this is like a bad choice word, like something smaller or not as important, but like best like sound mixing or like even
video
best use of animation.
Yeah,
it's definitely a big one, and they just overlook it. 100%.
No, and that's so upsetting to me because those are, I've always had a great appreciation for the people that do, especially in film, do that aspect of it, the editing and the directing and the writing. That's so difficult. And I've acted, and I've I've done a lot of writing, and I've done some directing and stuff like that. And to me, the most difficult thing to do is the writing, the directing, the lighting. That is so hard. Mm-hmm. Acting's easy. If you're good at it, it's easy. And these people are professionals. They're assumed to be good at it. Just like our football analogy earlier.
Yes.
What the fuck are you doing on the field if you're 5'6" and can't carry it or can't run, right? So what are you doing on stage if you can't carry a tune and you can't read your lines? So I assume you're going to be a good actor.
Yes.
If you're on screen, I assume you're going to be a good actor. It's so much harder for these people to do the video editing, do the audio mixing, do all this and it's monumentous work to sift through all the film and edit it and get just the smallest tweaks. I saw something I can't remember who it was, but it was some big big blockbuster movie, and the guy goes, it's a clip, and it's the director, and he goes, I want to highlight one person. He goes, this is Mark Chan, and he goes over to Mark Chan. He goes, and Mark Chan goes, oh hi, how's it going? And he goes, Mark, what was the hardest part for you? And he goes, I spent 10 weeks editing the movement of this fucking leaf. And it's like,
my God.
And he was like, because it was like an animated thing, and he was like, getting the leaf right took me so long.
Was it like a single leaf among a bunch of leaves, or was it just like one falling leaf that was like floating?
Yeah, one falling
Wow.
leaf. And he's like, and getting the movement just right. Because if I don't get it right, then it suspends disbelief.
Yeah.
It takes you out of it. I know for Brave. Do you remember the movie Brave
Yes.
about the girl with the, they spent somewhere around like 6 months just studying curly hair and the movement of it so that they could get her hair movement right for the movie. Like stuff like that.
Okay.
That right there.
So going off of that, moving on to, I know a movie that was really big, and then it's like a big meme now, Zootopia.
Yeah.
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 Besides all the just like people either loved that movie or they absolutely hated that movie and
I
tried to
love
pick
that movie.
it apart. I enjoyed that
love
movie.
that movie.
I thought it was a really good movie.
I've seen it 5 times.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it like twice or 3 times. But if you look into the details that they went into, every single animal, every single one that you see in one shot, for example, especially the scene where there's like 40 bunnies, I assume they copied some of the designs that they had. They didn't.
Nope.
Oh my gosh. But
Nope.
if you
Everything was individually animated.
Do some research if you haven't. Every single animal has like even giraffes they went down to like the detail, like minuscule. Every single hair follicle was designed. And so especially like you get to one of the main characters like the fox, or you get to the bunny.
Are you looking at the
Yeah, I was trying to see if Witcher 3 was the game that I was thinking of that like went really crazy with the hair stuff.
Was it Witcher?
And I think it was Witcher 3. If not
It's
Witcher
a good
3,
game.
it's something similar.
But they went so into detail. And then not only that, but then they had to, I know they worked on this movie for quite some time, and they had to move every single hair individually with the wind that was there.
Yeah.
And then, I feel so bad for the people who had to like edit it when they were like running every single frame.
Yeah.
It's insane to me.
No, the dedication of those people, that's what I think should win awards, is like that level, because that's not something that you can just do. Like, you can't just show up and do that. There's so much training. There's so much schooling.
Also, like stop motion films,
They
need more credit.
Yeah. Who's doing a stop motion right now? It's the guy that made the Chicken Run movie.
Actually?
Yeah. I think
Is
it's
it the
called-
caveman movie?
Yeah. Bronze Age or something like that.
Something, weird like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that brand new caveman, I was just like, it's like Wallace and Gromit.
It is Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah,
it's
it
that
is.
guy. Yeah.
Because I looked at the people and I was like, it's definitely Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like a new Wallace and Gromit movie, and then I was like, it's a caveman movie. I hope it's good because I've loved Wallace and Gromit and I loved Chicken Run. I've seen that so many times, especially when I was younger. But
that movie used to creep me out.
yeah,
Chicken Run was a little bit fucked up. There were some parts of it.
with the cutting off the chicken's head.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Still makes me.
Yeah,
scared
but then
though.
like, I especially like, did you see Legend of Kubo? That was that's a newer one. Same people who did Coraline.
Okay.
And they're a company here in Portland. So if you went to like,
Actually, I do know about them. Not Matt Groening. Matt Groening's also from here. It's not Tim Burton. Who's the
Tim Burton. We could talk about Tim Burton, but Night Before Christmas.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the guy. He's out of Portland. I know who you're talking about.
I don't know any specific names, but I know
yeah.
the company's out of Portland.
Yeah.
Because I had a stage manager who worked on Legend of Kubo,
Oh,
and was
really?
so excited.
Yeah.
Because she, I believe her name was Anne. It was a long time ago, but she got to be there when they were like moving every little thing, little by little, for a fight scene. So they had the characters hanging in air. I believe it was the monkey that she was so excited about because they had to move like every little hair follicle on it. They had to move all of them because it was like jumping downwards, so all the hair had to like move up as if the wind was pushing against it. And she thought it was incredible, and I think she's still part of the company, which amazes me.
That's really cool. Yeah. I can appreciate animation a lot more as I know more about it. I know it's always kind of seemed like a yeah, just ignore that's the speaker. But it's always looked at kind of like a cheap art form.
Yeah.
And to me, it's funny because it was one of the biggest things. You know who won the most Oscars of any person ever?
Who?
Walt Disney. He has 26.
It kind of makes
26
sense.
Oscars. And it's because he personally wrote and animated so many of the beginning Disney movies.
Disney shorts too.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. And everything. And the animation is really good. Like really good, especially for that time to know that they had to do cells. And to actually had to move those. And oh God, it's just, I mean, it's so cool.
Draw each indivial picture.
Yeah.
That's astounding to me.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen a Song of the South. Have you ever seen Song of the South?
I know quite a bit about it, but I've been trying to find like a version of the movie. Walt Disney has like, or Disney in general has like shut down that movie, and I haven't been able to find a recording.
Yeah, you kind of have to get it illegally, or you can get it from other countries. I know that I watched on a European DVD.
Stream, okay.
Yeah, it was a European DVD that we had to get like a special DVD player to watch it on.
So I've wanted to like watch it.
It's a
for those
really
of you who
cool
don't know,
movie.
that's the one like if you go to
It's
Disneyland,
about
like
slaves,
but Disneyland like Splash Mountain, that's where like zippity
Yeah.
doo dah, zippity day.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
Splash
dark
Mountain weirdly still has
exists.
It. Yeah, still
and they
has
still have
it.
that song, and then you're like, obviously there's nothing bad about Splash Mountain. They've taken out everything.
yeah.
It's just like
Uncle Remus isn't in it anymore.
We've got some cute animals and some buzzards to make you feel bad, and that's all Splash Mountain is now. But that
originally very racist.
Very racist.
It's about slaves. For anybody who doesn't know, Song of the South is about a group of slaves who are telling stories, and one of the white boys from the plantation walks over into their camp, and he's like, "Hey, Uncle Remus," and Uncle Remus is like, "Hello, little boy."
Yeah.
Like imagine Chef from South Park, but that's who Chef's based off of.
Is it
Uncle
actually?
Remus. Oh yeah,
Oh my God.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone based the character. That's why he sings all the time and has like that really like soulful voice. They based him off of Uncle Remus.
God.
And so he's like, "Hello, little boy," and he's like, "Let me tell you a tale about Brer Fox," which is Brer is like brother. It's slang for brother. And so he goes and he tells all these stories. But anyways, one of the cool things about that technically was that it was, and I mean technically, not like technically it was, I mean like
technically,
like technical
logistics of it.
Was that they had real live action scenes that were blended with animation. And that was the very first movie to do it. And it is so cool when you see it because there's this one scene, the Zippity Doo Dah, where he's like, there's a bluebird on my shoulder is the line, and when he says the little bluebird actually lands on his shoulder, and it tweets, and he looks at it, and he taps it on the head, and then he continues singing.
Wow.
But to animate that had to have been so difficult, and it's so cool, and then obviously they fucking hide it because of the subliminal racism.
Yeah.
Obviously it wasn't meant to be racist, but it's
nowadays
it's like
it's
oh,
racist.
yeah.
That's the same thing with like literature nowadays. Like sometimes we can't read certain things because
Huckleberry Finn has a very famous character.
To kill a mockingbird.
Yeah.
To Kill a Mockingbird, everyone's like, this is a really big deal, really big conspiracy. And I know, like very recently for our IB English class, we read a book. Not reading it, I'm done. But it's called Heart of Darkness.
Joseph Conrad, right?
Yeah. And it's all about a guy he goes to Africa, and the problem with it, I mean, it was written a long time ago. Like, I want to say maybe 1930 or something.
Yeah.
Something crazy like.
Wait,
is
I
it
think it was even further back.
even further back?
Might have been the 1800s, 1890.
Here, let me.
Joseph Conrad was like, I want to say.
Yeah, no, never mind. I'm so wrong. It was definitely a lot older. But they make Africa seem like this mythical, horrible place.
Yeah.
And then all the Africans there are cannibals, and they just
all of them, of course.
It's entirely dehumanizing.
Yeah.
All of them. And here's the problem. Now, like back then, that was like in literature. and people would read that and be like,
Oh my God, that's what it's actually like.
they're like, wow, that's what it's like. Obviously, nowadays, it's not, but it's nowadays. It's a different time, and everybody's just like, this is entirely racist, and I don't believe we should teach in the classroom. We had a debate in our class.
Wow.
Our teacher set up a debate.
Ballard. Or no,
Larpenter.
Larpenter.
Yeah. And we had to, I wasn't there that day, but I was definitely ready to do this debate. I was so prepared.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, should we teach Heart of Darkness because of the literature
The merit of the literature
and
itself.
like the work that it is?
Yeah.
Or should we not because it's racist?
Yeah.
And I was on the side of we should definitely teach it.
Teach it, obviously.
But like some people were against that. They're like, nope, it's racist. I don't want to do it. And then I don't think there was
Orwellian
enough people for that.
bullshit.
I don't think there was
Yeah.
enough people from that side, especially like we have like a group chat just to make sure that we can balance things out.
Yeah.
And so we're just like,
Is Joey still in that class?
I believe so. Yes, he is, but he's not in my specific class.
Okay, I know. Joey and I used to take very great passion in the fact that whatever the main idea was, is we'd go against it.
Yeah.
That was always a lot of fun for me. I only had one class with Joey ever, but him and I bonded thoroughly through that.
Oh, was that history?
Yeah. Oh, I guess we had history. So 1 year we
That
had
was
two
a great
classes together. We had
class.
history and we had English together. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. No, but I think that the issue that you come into is a lot of people go, well, we can't read that because it's too racist or it's too homophobic or whatever it is. But I think you need to acknowledge the fact of the merit itself.
It's a period piece.
It's a period piece. And even then, you have to recognize that the literature wasn't... It's not that it was different times. The actual merit of what it is, the beauty of the words that you're coming out of that time. And one of the things that, like, I don't know if you guys delved into this in the discussion, but the fact that the picture is painted so beautifully, like you feel like, obviously it's inspiring some racist imagery, but it is, you're there.
No,
like you feel what he feels. Yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, just a quick comment.
Yeah, I know he's
Yeah.
a huge literature nut, by the way. He loves this shit. So
That's nice.
The really crazy part about Conrad too is he actually didn't speak English until he was in his late 20s.
That's true. He learned English.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy because that's like the whole thing is the reason why he's read so often is because he brings a sort of non-English style to the English prose, and I think that's why he's kind of cool.
It's also very, very detailed in his work. Everything he wrote was very specific in what he was trying to...
was he a German?
He was Polish, I believe.
Polish, okay.
Poland, and then he moved over to London when he was in his late 20s and started writing in English, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Imagine-
amazing that he was able to do that. That's like that's one of those things where if you look at Sun Tzu's writing, like it makes I don't know Japanese anymore. I don't know if you still
Chinese.
write in Mandarin?
It was... No.
No. Okay.
No, I've put all that out of my mind. Like I can
Okay.
still write my name. I can definitely still write quite a bit, but I don't use that.
I don't. Yeah, I
anymore.
don't use any of my Japanese anymore. But anyways, the whole point of what I'm saying is that if you can't read some texts in their original language, they don't make sense. And that you don't. It's not that they don't make sense. That you don't understand the full, like, the entirety of the work. Like you can't fully grasp what it is if you can't get it in its original language. That's why we have, I think, such issues where like
With
going
translations?
through, with translations, like Dominus Rex, like reading old Greek literature.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
there's some
Oedipus
fucking,
Rex?
Oedipus Rex. Sorry, Dominus Rex.
Close enough.
It's a two-parter, isn't it? Isn't there?
I think it's 3 parts, but the third part was lost, or the
Yeah.
first part was lost, something weird like
Yeah.
that. But no,
Yeah.
I think you're right.
But reading Oedipus Rex, especially in the scene, in the scene where he's speaking to the Sphinx.
Oh yeah.
I read this. I don't know if this is true, but apparently, like, the translation is so fucking far off that it's like not even like the riddle that he gives is like it was like some English writer in the 1800s re-going through it and like they didn't know how to translate properly the original riddle, so some English writer just like
Put a new riddle
in there. And it's like, oh my god, it's like the most famous thing
walks
about
on,
it.
Walks on 4 legs in the morning.
Yeah.
2 legs in the afternoon and 3 at night.
And that's like one of the...
It's man.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, that we haven't heard that one before. It's classic.
Yeah. And if it's like that and the fact that he fucks his mom are the two most famous parts about that. and to like know that like that was just like put in there, like somebody just threw that in
What
there.
a show that was, and then he like stabs his eyeballs out to like make up for
yeah.
it. Like I don't know how that made up for it. And then like no, it is definitely a 3-parter.
Yeah.
The first part was lost, I think.
Yeah.
Or it was first or third. I'll have to go with that. But Oedipus Rex, he like stabs his eyes out, and now he's blind. And then the next one, it's all about him like living blind.
Yeah.
And like going through life and trying to fix his mistakes.
And doesn't he fucks his daughter, doesn't he? I think.
I don't know.
I think that was the next.
I've never read it. So
yeah, Kyle's giving me a heavy yes. He fucks his daughter. That
and
poor
then what,
guy.
does he rip his face off? Like what is next there?
I'm pretty sure God himself kills him.
Just smites him?
Yeah, I think Zeus smites him. Yeah.
Oh my
That's how
God.
it ends.
And
Wait, no, you're totally right.
Yeah.
I think
yeah, Zeus smites him. And I think that his reasoning wasn't the fact that it was Oedipus' fault. He was like, I'm just gonna put this guy out of his misery.
Well, here's the other problem. They back then, they if someone was struck by lightning, it was like a sign from God. It was just like, you need to come to Olympus right now. And so I guarantee you that when that was first written, everyone was just like, he got smited. He's like, oh, because he kind of did what Zeus did.
Yeah, right.
And then it was like, oh, he's with Zeus now.
Yeah.
And he's a good
the
man.
interpretation's so far off.
But like,
and that's what I'm saying is that
back
we
to like
don't-
translations and things like that.
Yeah.
Like if you're like reading something like in German and you come across
Faust.
you come across the word Schadenfreude.
It's not really a translation for that.
There's like it's basically like laughing at the misfortune of other people.
Other people, yeah.
To-
And which I guess in like modern society we would consider like almost irony. Like it's almost an
it's
ironic
totally
thing. Yeah. But I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you come across that word and then you translate it, like if you were to put Schadenfreude into a sentence, you can't be like, and then he stood there and took pleasure in the fact that somebody else had a misfortune.
Yeah.
Like you can't say that.
Yeah, it's its own thing. Like
Yes.
it's a like we have words. I know that the French are fucking finicky, and so when we would over the years, the English language has come up with many words that have become a cultural phenomenon throughout the world.
Yeah.
and France refuses to take English words and put them into their own language because
So
they
we did
consider
it for them.
Yeah, so they consider it an impurity. So what they do instead is they use the English words, which is funny. It's ironic because of the fact that they refuse to use the English language and then they have to use the fucking English language. So one of the biggest ones was that Dawkins' word meme. Like the French refused to create a word for meme. So they have to start using the word meme and it poisoned their language. And I find that funny, but
You know, they're just all over there and they're like, how do we fix this? Let's call them memes.
But one of the things that, like, if you look at what your argument was earlier about the whole racism thing and blah, 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 but like read Siddhartha and realize if that was published now, that would be fucking case in point for cultural appropriation at its finest. And like
They'd be like, someone would look at that and they'd be like, how dare you?
it's a German man writing about Hinduism and Buddhism and the way that it affects the modern zeitgeist. And you're like, oh my God, that's the point.
Beatles too.
Yeah.
Went to India and they came back and played some crazy.
Yeah, they
music.
there's somebody. There was somebody that was talking about this. I can't remember if it was like Paul McCartney or somebody, and he was like,
Oh my God.
yeah, no, we literally just stole other people's music and brought it to the United States." And it's like, oh my God.
You heard the interviews with them. It's like, so what do you guys do in India? And he's just like, looks at me, he's like, a lot of fucking LSD. And it's
Oh my
like,
God.
They just do LSD with the Brahmins. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
Jesus.
Gotta love art.
Yeah.
Gotta love art. Yeah, but to circle back, I think that whatever it is, literature should be enjoyed as what it was then. And if you need to have a conversation on what it is now, of course.
Yes.
Give it the repercussions it's had on modern society, but don't ignore it because I'm reading.
That's ignoring history.
Yeah,
And
I'm rereading 1984.
Yes.
And one of the things that is so brilliant about that book is that when Orwell was writing it, obviously they had just gotten off of World War II and a lot of the stuff that was happening, obviously with the Nazis and thought control and stuff like that. But the way he writes it, it's not like, oh, this could happen. It's that he almost writes it as though he truly believes it. Like he thinks that like here we are. This is us in 20 years. Like, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And he truly writes it like, this is just life, and we're going to have to cope with it. And that's, if we don't fix it now, we're fucked.
They very recently, the show is closed now, but it wasn't during the summer. They put up 1984
Yeah.
On Broadway, and I've had friends who went and saw it and then like come back and talk to me about it, and they're just like, it's a hard hitting show, and they come out of there, and it's kind of interesting because I've known people who go into that show, and I feel bad for saying this, but the very front row was like the splash zone for the fake blood that they had.
Yeah.
And there are people who come out of that show and they're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
They're very shaken by the show, and
Well, it's the futility of it, man.
yeah, and then some of them come out of that crying.
Yeah.
I've known people who do that, and then some people, just those people who just do not care and shouldn't be there, are just like, I got blood on my shirt. Yeah, but you just gotta appreciate the work.
And there's a scene in it, and it's not like a big scene that everybody remembers, but it's always stood out to me. And it's when he's remembering his childhood, and he's remembering the scene where he's in the subway, he's in the tunnel tubes.
Yes.
And they're being bombed, and like there's dust falling from the ceiling because there's like a nuclear bomb that just went off. And there's a man, and he's sobbing, and he's like a heavier set man, and he's sobbing, and he just keeps repeating, "We shouldn't have trusted them. We shouldn't have trusted them." And he finally says, "They took her. We shouldn't have trusted them. Why did we trust them?"
Yeah.
And it's like this weird thing where it's not like a big scene. Like, obviously the biggest scene in the book is at the very end. I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't written or read it.
Or you can, and people can listen to the podcast and be like, instead of a Spark Notes.
Yeah, here's Cole's Spark Notes. No, but at the very end when it reveals how futile the entire book was, and like what this big ending you're expecting, like they're gonna do it, they're gonna finally get there, and then it just nope.
Done.
And it ends with the most beautiful lines of I love Big Brother, right? And so but it's a small scene, but it encases that feeling of fear and not being able to control anything. Like, they're in this subway, and everything, they could die. Everything around them, and they can't even, not even the government wants to help them. Everything around them is fighting against these people that are separate, and they're not a whole. Like, it's this horrible feeling of like, you're not even alone by yourself. You're alone within your society, and every single one. Yeah, every single person feels it. And it's like, like that feeling is just so vivid, and it's it's this knot that you get in your stomach.
Powerless.
Yeah. It's hard because it's so good, and that's why I think and obviously no one's saying like we should get rid of Orwell. He's a racist
they
or
better
something.
not.
Yeah, right. But at the same time, it's if you got rid of that book, you lose so much. And with every book that you say I want to get rid of, To Kill a Mockingbird, for example, people don't know the story of Emmett Till, and it's one of those things where To Kill a Mockingbird takes that story and puts it into a palatable form. And it's, obviously there's some really dark parts of that book, but the story of Emmett Till is way darker.
Yeah.
And so, but to take it and encapsulate it in something that people can actually, comprehend and swallow and be like, oh my God, that's horrible, without being like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to read this anymore. That's important. That's there. That needs to be a thing. And the same thing with Heart of Darkness, to show how you can the beauty of writing, and how you can take this massive, immense jungle and show each and every leaf and tree within it is amazing. But then you have to also recognize the exaggeration of it, taking the fantasy aspects of it, and how that ties into it as well. Every book has the technical aspects, and then there's the continuation and how it's flowed through society and how we look at it now compared to how we look at it then. And I think we as a people need to recognize that when taking in any media, and this rounds back to what we were talking about earlier, how with everything, Guys and Dolls has aged differently than maybe Hamilton will. Anything goes.
Hamilton's kind of interesting because it
has every bit it needs to become like a classic.
Yeah,
it really does.
It does, but it's just like the style of music, like hip hop. It's a hip hop Broadway show about the founding father Alexander Hamilton and his rise and fall of power. And it's hip hop, and hip hop changes all the time. Like the music on the radio changes all the time.
Yeah.
So like to think that
might be the art form. That might be like the
even in 10 years.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be different, and that'll be like, is this show any good anymore?
Yeah. Well, no, Kyle and I we were talking the other day where I brought up the different eras of rap: 70s rap versus 80s rap versus 90s rap versus early 2000s, late 2000s into the early 2000 and like the teens, right? And then midway through the teens, and as now we're kind of getting into the later teens, how it's evolved even in the past 10 years from 2010 into 2018 and that 8-year period, and how every 2 years it seems like there's a complete genre shift in what it is. Like right now
it's an 8 count with like a techno drum, and then the beat drops.
Yeah,
every single song
and
does that.
I remember my freshman year, we were in like a drill rap period where everything was like, and there was like loud noises and like it was almost that kind of rock and roll like bass. Like the bass line was very distinct in that it was kind of representative of like other rock histories. Daft Punk is weirdly making a comeback.
Oh my god,
music.
You're right.
Yeah, Daft Punk will always be cool.
I love Daft Punk.
The only problem I have with not with Daft Punk, no.
I was gonna say what the fuck.
The only problem I have really with all the music that I'm hearing on the radio is it always starts with like an 8 count beat intro, and then the bass drops. All right, and then there's like the quote unquote chorus, and it continues along, and then it builds up, and there's a bass drop, and then there's nothing else. It kind of ends.
I saw this video the other day that was so fucking funny. It was this guy, and he's like, "What do we like? We like slow build-ups and disappointing drops. Slow build-ups
I've seen that.
and disappointing drops. Slow build-ups and disappointing drops. Slow, and he just keeps going until it's just." And then it's like, what the? It's like, he's so right, obviously, but it's like funny to me that's like that's like literally what we're in right now. That's our form of music. And one of the things I didn't realize as a kid, and I've noticed now, is pop music is not one form of music. Pop music is just popular, whatever's popular at the moment.
Yeah,
it's not like an actual type of music that you can create.
You used to be able to do that though.
Yeah.
It used to be,
but like pop music in the 60s was splish splash, I'm taking a bath riding on a Saturday night. Like that was pop music. And now it's like Katy Perry, like like this like weird like
Ariana Grande just hitting her whistle notes, and you're just like you would listen to that song. And you'd be like, oh, like if you're a girl, you'd be like, yeah, I can sing this. Nope.
No, you can't.
Never mind.
No, you can't. Yeah. Mariah Carey, I hate her. But like her music sometimes is pretty good. And, but like, yeah, I get what you're saying where like you have so many examples of what music is, and music changes throughout time, and musicals are trying to adapt to that. But the weird thing is you can't really, with musical theater, you can't really encapsulate one art form. You know what I'm saying? Like to just do rap. Like one of the things that I think Lin-Manuel Miranda did well was that he didn't just use rap. He used other things like R&B. He used jazz. He had noir, like that noir jazz when
What I Miss at the Lafayette, or not Lafayette, but Thomas Jefferson.
I'm trying to think of the
Same
one
actor.
The noir jazz with the confidant, the girl. You know what I'm talking about? His mistress. where it's like that,
Oh,
like,
Say No to This.
Yes.
Yes.
That kind of like the very beginning where it's like smoky and like you can like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
that
no, I know what
feeling
you're talking about.
And he samples so many different like genres that it's not just rap, but it's like black, like everything that's been influenced from like jazz into rap and R&B and like that kind of, you know what I'm talking about?
What's really funny, like I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about, but then for the one white actor, for King George,
It's so funny.
guess what King George's song, guess who it's based off of?
Who?
The Beatles.
Is it really?
Yes.
I never even
I can't remember
realized that.
which song it is. Something about sunshine, I think. But gosh, what is it? I don't know. But it's based off of the Beatles.
I can
and, like,
absolutely see
I
that.
heard it and I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And I was like, he's taken a wide variety of musical styles and it's just like, put them all in.
Yeah.
And it worked.
He's really good at that. Yeah, I've got to give him compliments. Into the Heights, great. I don't think it's half as good as Hamilton. I think he hit gold with that.
Well, In the Heights was he didn't spend like the longest time writing it.
Yeah.
Hamilton, he spent like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
6 or maybe 7 years now. Like,
Yeah.
have you ever seen the video? He went to the White House for like an open like poetry night, and he was. I think the quote that he said was, "I think I'm writing a musical about somebody who I think embodies music and hip hop. Our founding father, Alexander Hamilton." And everyone was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like they all laughed.
Yeah.
They were all laughing at him. And then now you get to today, and you're just like,
Yep.
who's laughing
I feel
now?"
it. I feel
and
it, yeah.
Like Obama was there the entire time.
Yeah.
It happened. Like he was laughing, and then like he saw Hamilton, and it was
Yeah.
like, it
I
was
get it.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it,
get what
yeah.
you were saying.
Yeah. You know, it's cool. I think it's cool that as media and literature and music evolves, we kind of evolve with it. We, obviously we don't all like the same music, but I think we can appreciate certain things. I've always been much more of a jazz person.
I love jazz.
Oh yeah, jazz and classical, and I really enjoy big band as well. But I can still appreciate a lot of popular music, especially certain artists who have a very good appeal, but also have some very genuine music.
Like Nicki Minaj.
Yes,
At the top of my list.
God. I love the way she sings about her pussy. I think that's the best. I think that's a true representation of musical art. No, but like
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's cool that that there are so many different ways to enjoy it, and not everybody has to listen to the same thing. But I do kind of wish that we all could,
Agree on at least one.
yeah, like if we could all like say, classical, like Mozart, greatest musician of all time, and then we can also be
And he's like,
but
no,
I also
Bach.
enjoy, yeah, or we can have arguments. I'm cool with having that argument.
Yeah.
I'm cool with having that argument with you. But if we could all just like, say like, hey, everything is subjective, but can we be objective about it and be like, yes, this is the height, the pinnacle of like music or literature. Like we have to say like, right now, I don't think that we're coming up with any amazing classics. Every once in a while, something will break through. Kyle, I don't know if you've read anything lately that's newer, that's broken kind of the barrier of, the 21st century.
To a classic?
Yeah, to
a common classic level? I don't think there's anything that's been published after like some late Cormac McCarthy, David Foster Wallace type of thing.
Yeah.
It's, like, been heralded as a classic necessarily. Usually takes like 20, 30 years for that
Okay.
sort of thing.
So Infinite Jest, I think, is what you're saying is like the last.
Some like Pynchon.
Okay.
Late Thomas Pynchon, like Gravity's Rainbow. I'm sure there's some stuff that's even newer that people are like kind of getting on the hype train for, but it's not to like the level of cultural pervasiveness as some of the older stuff is right now.
Yeah, okay. But that's what I'm saying, is that I feel like maybe we can look back on it in a couple of years and really see a difference. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll be like, you know what, that was a classic. But even, as we look back on, I say 50 years. So what would that be? That'd be 68, right? 68. Yeah. So looking back at, that era and seeing like, yeah, I can agree that Frank Sinatra is a classic.
Yeah.
He will always be remembered for having a beautiful voice and being a wonderful performer. no matter how drunk he was. And we can look back on some of the writing of the time, and some of even the poetry. I think that I look at like some bands and go, that's more poetry than it is music. Jefferson Airplane has a song called "Go Ask Alice," which I think is more of a poem than it is a song. I don't know if you heard it before. Feed your head. Listen to what the Dormouse said. But it's this song chronicling like the fall into psychedelics and how it affected the mind of a young girl. You know what I'm talking about? Do you know the song I'm talking about, Kyle?
Who's it by? Sorry, I was
Jefferson Airplane, I believe. And I don't know which iteration of Jefferson it was, because Jefferson's been named Jefferson Airplane.
That sounds like something Jefferson Airplane would do.
Yeah,
so
Go Ask Alice, I believe. And it's one of those things where art is subjective, and so I can say that that song is poetry, or that piece of literature can be adapted into a movie, or it can be adapted into a play. 1984 can be adapted into an amazing stage work, things like that. And I think that's.
Please, anybody listening to this, never make it into a musical. Can you imagine?
I can see somebody trying.
I guarantee you someone has tried, and then they just got shut down.
Good. Fuck you, Dan. Oh no, man! I tried my best.
I worked so hard.
Oh, some guy in Portland doesn't like it.
There was a song with blood everywhere.
And as I grasp this loneliness,
there was a bomb overhead.
Look, a guy just blew up across the street.
What if it? Oh, can you imagine if that was a satire? If someone took 1984 and made it into a musical,
that would be too meta.
Yeah,
that would be too meta. Kyle, can you give us the definition of meta, please? I learned this today.
So if you're talking about like in chess, like a meta strategy, it's most efficient tactic available. So it's an acronym actually.
I didn't know that. So, yeah. Alrighty, we're pretty deep here. Are you?
45.
Yeah. Are you good wrapping up?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you coming in. You want to plug your show real fast and any other works you've got coming up in the future?
Oh yeah. So come see Big Fish. Shows run from starting tomorrow at the time that we're recording this, March 8th through 10th, and then the next weekend is 15th through 17th. The 2 shows. On the 17th, I believe that's a 2:30 and 7:30, and it's 7:30 every single night. And then after that, if you'd like to come see me, I'll be doing a production downtown Portland called John Hughes High. I'll be playing the male lead for that one, and I'm super excited.
Who's that through?
That's through Staged.
Okay. Yes. Alrighty. Well, I really appreciate you coming in, Brendan. It's good to see you again, and as always, we're jokingly serious. See you later.